Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. I'm JJ Tawani, and we're coming to you live from our studios here in Auckland Park. And my guest tonight, Advocate Busiwe Mukwebane. We're going to take some of your calls on 714-8052. You can follow us on Twitter, #Frankly Speaking. Lucky in Pretoria. Good evening to you, Lucky.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm all right. What's your question to the public protector?
Yes, I would like to ask the Advocate Mukwebane that how can, on her report, how can she leave out Ms. Ace Mahashule? And then actually, what kind of a message does the report send to us as the public? Because we are waiting in eagerness what has happened in that dairy farm. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Lucky. We did deal with that a little bit, but you can come back to it. And while answering, also Sabelo on Twitter is saying, does she get any support from the parliamentary committee, especially the Justice Committee headed by Ndate Matole Motshekga?
I must say I only appeared 3 times so far, and the engagements were fine, though I haven't had any feedback about the budget, because the committee is there to at least facilitate and assist institutions like the Chapter 9 institution to at least be assisted in being supported more. So I would say we engaged, and the support is there, but we haven't yet.
Your predecessor asked for more money, actually, and earlier on you had said there's something you couldn't do because you're going to need an additional 30 million and so on. In the 18 months, how many times have you followed up? Have you written to them? Have you pressurized them? Have you had meetings with them to say your resources are inadequate that are allocated to your office?
Yes, JJ. When I presented the annual report last year, this year when I presented the strategic plan, I've even indicated that for that office to be fully functional, we'll need around 800 million. And we had to show them how we're going to spend that money, because currently our allocation is around 310 million. It was 318, but it was reduced with a further 8 million. We cannot be operational. I must say that the only money we're having is to pay employees, which is we are 50% half the structure which we are supposed to have. Therefore, if I have cases or complaints which we've received 4 years, 5 years ago, which will require me to use the very same resources which I don't have. So that's a serious challenge which I'm having.
Linked to that, do you believe that the opposition parties, right, are, in a sense, your partners in doing the work you're supposed to do? Because half of your cases point to administrative missteps by government, and that's a full-time job of opposition parties. Have you found that they are a partner in getting your work done or not?
They are assisting, because I must indicate that the complaints I've received from the opposition parties, for instance, I'll mention some of the complaints lodged by the EFF. What I like is that they will also go to an extent of even submitting the necessary evidence
and backing
so
material,
that at least when we do the investigation, we know which direction
so they're quite an important
follow.
part of your office.
Yes, I mean, if they bring that to the fore, it also assists, because at the end of the day, we would be able to make sure that government has a clean governance and good governance. That's our intention.
So then how does it make you feel that the same opposition parties are now almost, most of them saying that you must quit? You know, and they believe that with the cases we have lost, with all of these things that are coming left, right, and center, you know, your office's integrity is being questioned. How does it make you feel, and what has been your response to the calls that you must resign?
I must say that, anyway, South Africa, we have it's the constitutional democracy. People have the freedom of expression, and but that freedom of expression as well is limited, because at any rate, that is a constitutional institution. And I must indicate that it's not only 2 cases which I've investigated. As I'm saying, 40 reports I've issued since coming in, and those reports are having such an impact. I mean, look at the Mandela report where the CFO now is suspended. The Glebelands report, Minister Mbalula was opening a satellite office is one of the recommendations of some of my reports. Therefore, and I must indicate that judges have been losing how many appeals? I mean, their judgments are taken on appeal. And
but what would make
lose.
you quit? What would make you quit? If you were to look at your office being constantly under attack, right, vis-a-vis you're saying, well, you know, judges and people have a right to say whatever, what would make you quit right now?
I wouldn't quit, JJ.
Nothing will make you quit. You're going to stay your 7 years.
Yes, I'm going to be here until 2023.
Okay, let's take another call, Mr. Kama. Good evening to you, Mr. Kama, from Danzani.
Good evening, Mr. J.J. Kawane.
Evening to you, sir.
And good evening also to Advocate Mkhwebane.
Evening, Bab.
Yes. So my question actually relates to the issue of the Frede Farm.
The Frede Farm, yes. What is your question?
With regard to that one, actually, I just want to put it to just say a comment that Advocate Mkhwebane did mention that she won't prioritize the matter of the state capture.
Yes. And
now we are seeing that the DA has put that matter on review, the matter of the Frede Farm. He also had got this matter, actually the judgment, which also implicates Advocate Mkhwebane. My concern is that is Advocate Mkhwebane not supposed to act like her predecessor, to make sure that if she's given any terms of reference to look at the matter, is she not supposed to extend that? Is she supposed to be limited by terms of reference? Whereas she sees that the corruption or the fraud, really there are suspicions of that.
Yeah, all right, let's leave it there. The two callers, there seems to be dissatisfied over how you're handling this Frede Farm thing. And I think it comes from a point of view that what has been reported and not disputed is that 30 million rand, right, was spent on a wedding, was channeled somehow fraudulently to a wedding somewhere in Sun City. And people feel that this report doesn't adequately deal with that particular glaring corruption that, in fact, nobody has disputed so far.
I'll repeat, JJ. Can South Africans read that report? The executive summary is 14 pages. Can you go and read those 14 pages and see what was the complaint, what we've investigated? I mean, the issues of the 30 million, remember it came with the Gupta leaks.
Yes.
And already the report was at its final stages. I indicated that my predecessor investigated. When I arrived, the report was ready. My only part was now to make sure that we finalize the report, but again, with the evidence we are having and the remedial actions which we are having.
But after all the evidence in front of you, can you say to me that that 30 million rand thing is not a fact?
The 30 million might be a fact because if you check the inflated prices of the goods which were procured there, and I've indicated, I've reflected how much each possibly the milking machine, how much the cows were bought. I mean, those prices, it's only one company, Holstein, which the investigators in Free State consulted. But then we should have consulted or tested the market to be able to make sure that indeed, is this the price which is supposed to be charged? Is it 4 million, that milking machine, or charging it 55 million, in fact, it was 35 million, is it justifiable? Right, but what I must say is that the DA and CASAC has taken the matter on review, and all the evidence will be laid bare there so that South Africans can see that these are the facts. Okay. Another issue is that...
I've got to take a break. Let me just hold it there. We'll come back to it. We are talking to Advocate Busia Mkhwebane, and after the break, we'll take more of your tweets, your calls, and some of your comments on social media. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking with me on Khopotse, JJ Tabane. You can follow us on Twitter at #FranklySpeaking. You can tweet us at JJ Tabane. at the SABC News Online. Advocate Mukwebane is my guest. Advocate, on Twitter, Isaac Muitsanape says, why her remedial actions, even if they are serious, she does not recommend punitive measures but a slap on the wrist. You think your remedial actions are quite soft?
Remedial actions are not soft. I mean, we had a finding, one report, Ngakamudiri municipality, where the appointment made there was irregular, and the finding was that all the monies which were paid to that particular person needs to be paid back. A finding in Limpopo, the MEC of transport, where she appointed a company to provide a service which was out of her responsibilities. And that matter is on review, but then the finding was that she needs to pay back all the monies which were paid to those
so some quite tough actions that you have you have recommended there. Amran Mufume on Facebook is saying, how is your office addressing the bad impression out there that the office of the PP is no longer independent and objective? I mean, it's one thing to dismiss that as not true, but he's asking, what are you doing to try and correct that perception of lack of independence from your office?
Is to remain focused, independent, doing my work without fear or favor, though now there's a lot of threat on the independence of the institution because I mean, if you have a personal cost on the public protector in her personal capacity, that is a threat to the independence of the institution, not only the current public protector, but any public protector who has made a finding and conducted the investigation in good faith. So I must say that there's a lot of work which we are doing with the team. And again, the findings which we are having, people are encouraged to go and read those reports and not only
just
take
interrupt
few
there
issues.
on this issue about whether if costs are said to be ascribed to you in personal capacity, it's good or not. You would remember the case of the SABC where people appealed ad infinitum, right? And the courts were very, very harsh on that to say, don't do that with public money, right? Surely you would encourage that public institutions must be circumspect when they go about appealing cases, in a manner that they were going to use public funds.
Yes, we need to be very careful in that. We are a constitutional democracy. There's a rule of law, JJ. Yeah. Therefore, if you are, like in this particular matter of ABSA, then it means I was not supposed to oppose this particular application and oppose the report and defend the report because it has to do with the powers of the public protector. So in that particular aspect, you then have personal costs on suspicion.
But if they find that the reasons were less than frank, surely the costs only come after they have assessed your reasons. And if they find them not being proper, not proper legal advice, surely there must be consequences. PP, you'll agree?
I don't agree with that. I mean, even if the very same institutions, whether it's being a DG, whether it's being a minister who's appealing, why are we saying there's a rule of law? The courts are there to interpret the law. The courts are there to give direction on a matter of law.
People appeal 4, 5, 6 times, like we've seen in the cases of some of the parastatals, including the SABC itself, where in fact public monies were wasted and people deliberately knew that what they were doing was out of order.
I think if then it's something, same matter is repeated over and over, and then
there must be consequences.
But JJ, we need to look into the law. Again, we need to look into the finding of that particular court. Because unfortunately, again now, there is that issue of some of the judges not being objective. Because at the end of the day, you need not be influenced by the narrative or by the hearsay or by the suspicion. You need to focus on the law.
I've got to take the final break. After the break, we say goodbye to the public protector. Stay tuned.
So you bought the new Polo, which gave you the confidence to act like a boss. And now everyone thinks you are a boss. Now you're sitting